Welcome back to part two of the Willie Morgan Show. As promised, we are back with Jim McCalliog and Willie. We've had so many questions that we've had to put this into two parts tonight. Both of them are really enjoying this chat, and we're really enjoying your company as well on the show. So many questions, and I'm going to start with another question, Jim, from Terje Hegdal. He says, Jim, you broke my heart on the 1st of May in 1976. Any regrets?
No, none at all. I was employed by Southampton. I'm a professional footballer. Love Man United, but on the day I wanted the winner's medal because I'd already got a loser's medal in '66. So obviously I was looking to put one over on the dock as well, because there's nothing better than coming back and saying hello to your ex-boss with a couple of goals, or a goal, or maybe laying on a goal. So no, I just wanted to win, and that was it. That was all that was in my head.
John Bleasdale's got a follow-up to that question, and he wants to know, Jim, was your FA Cup win for Southampton the perfect retribution for the way your United career ended and how you were treated?
Possibly. I mean, the doc called me into his office, and he said that Laurie McMenemy had been on the phone. I said, do you want to go and talk to him? And I said, yeah, why not? Because by that time I was quite an experienced player. I was probably about 27 then. And my thoughts then were, if the manager asks you to talk to another club, just do it. Because he might think he's made up his mind, or he might have made up his mind that he wanted me to move on. So I went away. I had a few days out of the way. I was down in Southampton. Had some good fun with one of my old pals, Peter Osgood, who we started at Chelsea together, and obviously met Mick Shannon. And both Peter and Mick were very keen for me to go to Southampton. So yeah, no regrets. That happens in football. I still talk to Tommy Docherty. I still meet up with him now and again. Obviously, for the Too Good to Go Down, I went to the premiere of that, and I seen the doc there. And that's the way it is. That's football. It's difficult, I suppose, for some fans to understand that, but if a manager's going to move you on, you're best to get out of the way of it and go and be appreciated somewhere else, and show him that he was wrong to let you go.
Absolutely, and you certainly were able to do that, and I'm sure Southampton fans still love you to this day for being involved in that memorable occasion.
Yes, it was a wonderful occasion, especially for a club like Southampton, who had been in the first division for a long time. It was a well-run club, but you would never expect to go to Southampton to win trophies. And that was a thing I could never understand about Mickey Shannon. I could never understand why he wanted to stay, because he was an England player. And I thought, surely he wants to win something. And as it turned out, he was maybe proved right, because we did win the FA Cup.
Well, absolutely, and what a great honour that must have been. And Willie, John Bleasdale's got a question for you as well, and he wants to know how you would rank Willie Ormond in terms of the managers that you played under.
John, the Pink Gin Kid. Willie was a really, really, again, I've used it before tonight, but a nice man, absolutely lovely guy, but hadn't got a clue. He wasn't a manager. He didn't have a clue. He was just a very nice guy. So no, nice man. Manager, no.
That's why we love you on this show, Willie. You say it as it is.
Well, it's not, he was a lovely guy. Hey, nothing, I liked him very much. But as a manager, he was very weak and it's very difficult for him, I suppose, getting all the big names coming up from England to play in the Scotland team. But nevertheless, it was a great Scotland team. Great Scotland team, apart from Jim McCalliog. If you'd put Jim in the team, he might have been up there and rated as a manager, but he didn't. And he bowed to pressure to play certain players because of who they played for. And that in the end, even though we never got beat, was the downfall. And but as a person, absolutely lovely. Told you, pink gin. He was a pink gin kid. He loved a glass of pink gin. So he was a good guy, really nice man.
Brad Pibble has got in touch. He wants to know what both of your thoughts on Scotland. We talked earlier in the show that the national team have qualified for next year's Euros. I'll come to you with this one, Jim, first. What do you think Scotland need to do to make sure they get to major tournaments more often again?
The thing Scotland has to do, and which every team in the land has to do, is always to find a striker that can score goals. The problem with Scotland is the only goal scorer that I think they have who's always guaranteed to have a couple of shots at goal is Lee Griffiths. I'm not keen on McBurney. Lyndon Dykes seems to be doing not too bad. He might be the answer. But I think if they could get a goal scorer in there, I think with the way he's built his team, he's got them having a nice shape behind the ball, and they're hard to break down. And the goalkeeper's been playing well, and I think if they could get a striker on the field, somebody could come through in the next maybe up till when the Euros next how long is it? 6 months. Then we could have a chance, because I think the team's done okay. I can't see us ever winning it, but we would definitely put up a good show, like obviously Willie did when he played in the World Cup himself. So that would get the country going. Yeah.
Do you agree, Willie? A goal scorer is key to any team, of course, the Scotland national team as well.
Goes without saying. The game's all about scoring goals. Doesn't matter how many people you can beat. I could dribble up and down the pitch all day long, but unless you create a chance of scoring a goal, it doesn't mean nothing. The game's about scoring goals. I always remember Frankie Farrell with one of his great statements. He said he was trying to tell us that you had to have 2 feet, that people just one-sided were no good. And that Ferenc Puskas, he said, all he does is score goals. If he had a right foot, what a player he could be. What an idiot, what a stupid statement. All he does is score goals. Hello, Frank. Anyway. So Jim's absolutely right. You need a goal scorer. That's what the game's about. That in the old days, you centre forward, that was his job. Dennis Law, Andy Lockheed, all the great centre forward, Bobby Smith. Oh, they scored goals. Peter Osgood, Jim talking about Peter, big Aussie, brilliant up front. The goal scorers. I don't want them running back and making a tackle on our own 18-yard box. I want them in the box, the opposition's box, scoring goals, finishing things off. And Jim's right. Yeah, we need one. I've not seen enough of Scotland. I watched the match the other night, and I'll tell you what, they played really well. They've got a nice shape, like you said. They've got a nice shape. Now, you need a finisher. You need a man who just scores goals. And if we get that, and I go back to the '74 World Cup. If Kenny Dalglish had played up front, and Jim had been where Kenny played, left midfield, which he's not a midfield player in any way, shape, or form. But if he had played up front, Kenny, with Jim in midfield, we would have won a World Cup. But they didn't. But they put him in the team just to be in the team. I'm serious, Jim. They had Kenny in the team just to be in the team. Left half. He's not a left half, the lad. Not his fault. He's a centre forward and a great goal scorer. And they put him in, you know, stupid. So, yeah, I agree with everything Jim said. Every team in the world, well, they want somebody that scores goals because that's what the game's all about.
The one and only Pete Boyle has got in touch to ask both of you, who was the funniest player you both played with? Willie, if you go first with that one, the funniest player.
The funniest player. Oh, I'll have to think about that, Pete. The funniest player. My God. No, I'll have to let Jim go first. I'll have to think about that one. The funniest player. I'll let Jim go and I'll have a little think, Peter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the funniest guy that I played with was a guy called Danny Hegan, who played for when I was at Wolves, played with me at Wolves, and he also played for Northern Ireland. And the things he come out with, and his patter was so quick, and he was a comedian, really. I hope Willie doesn't mind me saying that. A bit like Tommy Docherty. Tommy Docherty is good at one-liners, but Danny was probably in that class as well. But Danny was, I mean, he would go out on a Saturday night and he would come back on a Monday morning. That was Danny, you know. For a footballer, I'd never known anybody to do that. And the thing was, because I knew Danny, the coach would always come to me and say, Jim, on the Monday, where is Danny? Where is he? Where is he? And I used to say, I have no idea. I don't live with Danny. And it used to be funny because he used to always be locked up in a pub. That was him, honestly, Willie. He went on 3-day binges. But some of the things he come out with, it was quite amazing. And they tried everything to stop Danny going out drinking. Honestly, his wife had taken the credit card. She had his checkbook. And what Danny used to do was he'd save up for perhaps 3, 4, 5 months, and he'd keep saying, oh, I'm getting all the brownie points. And then all of a sudden he'd got enough money. He used to have the money hidden in his lounge suite. And for whatever reason, she never found his money. And when he built up enough money, that was it. He was gone. 3 days, he was away. But funniest guy you ever meet in your life, and a really good footballer, Scots boy.
Yeah,
played for Northern Ireland. I think Danny started at Albion Rovers. Very talented footballer.
Have you had a wee chance to think, Willie?
Oh, I'm still thinking, Peter. I think funny. If you're talking about incidents, Andy Lockheed, Andy who played with obviously at Burnley, great goal scorer, great player, gets it forward, Andy, and hard as nails. Andy perfected the elbow, if you know what it means. So when he jumped, because obviously in those days the goalkeeper used to hoof the ball 60 yards up the pitch, and invariably the centre forward and the centre half would jump, and Andy would jump and hit the centre half with his elbow in the face, and we used to say, "Oh, Andy, don't do that because they'll start kicking everybody." And he said, "I don't care, you know." He was a good guy, great player. He would, but most players drank back in those days. Most of the older players. I mean, I've got great pals, you know, Jim, Alex Stepney. When we were in training, Alex used to run on his own because there was like an aroma of beer. We used to run in front of him not to get the drift and training because he drank beer, and my God, it smelled like a brewery when we were training. So But it's, people back then were just happy to be kicking a ball and getting paid and not working in the mines or anywhere. They were all just happy. So I hope, Peter, that answers your question. It's not funny, but I hope it answers your question.
We've got a message in from Yesterday Stars, at Yesterday Stars on Twitter. They look at former Manchester United games and players. Go and check them out on Twitter if you're a fan of United. For both of you, who were your best pals during your time at Manchester United? And do you still keep in touch with any of the former United players? Willie, if you go first with that one.
Yes, I'm still in touch with nearly all the players that I played with at Man United. We're pals on the golf course were, of course, the gaffer. Played a lot of golf with Matt and Paddy and Dennis, Bill Phelps, Bobby. We were all golfers, so I saw a lot of them when we weren't training. In the evening, when I was allowed out, I used to meet up with Bestie up in town. We obviously frequented the same places. We all got on well. It was a happy club, and the players were really happy. So, and do I still see them? Yeah, not all the time now. Obviously, it's a bit, well, certainly the last year, very difficult. But we all still live pretty close. And Bobby's only up the road. Sadly, Nobby's gone. He was just down the road. Dennis is along the road. Paddy, Dave Sadler. The only one that's really moved away is Alex Stepney. Alex lives over Blackpool way now. I think it's for the fresh air to get rid of the fumes that Alex had moved there. But we all got on great. It was a happy club. And then Doc came and started nonsense. He knifed so many players. Jim Holton. Jim wouldn't hurt a fly. George Graham, Dennis, Paddy, Jim. Then me, eventually, he got me. He was amazing how he got me, as you well know. What he did, he was just, other than that, though, it was a very happy club. And yes, I still see the players.
What about yourself, Jim?
I think for myself, I've got obviously Willie was one of my pals, and I'll tell you a wee tale about me and Willie in a minute. But I went to United at a different time than Willie, because at the particular time I was at United, there were players there from 4 or 3 previous managers, including Tommy Docherty. So there wasn't such a happy atmosphere like Willie says that he had there with the likes of Paddy Crerand and Dennis Law and George Best and people like that. So it was, I was happy to be with Willie, because, like we said, we've been friends from when we went on the Scotland national tour yonks ago.
1967. Don't.
Well, it seems a long time ago, Willie. But the funny thing was, I had a different scenario at United. So, as regards keeping up with the guys, I haven't seen the guys other than Willie and the other guys that were in the team at the time. No, I haven't kept up any friendships there. But I remember when I first went to Man United, and we were playing Millwall in a cup match, Willie, on a Wednesday night in London. And I hadn't been at the club very long. And that afternoon, me and Willie were sharing a room where all the players had a sleep in the afternoon before the game. And we were in 2 single beds, me and Willie. And the phone went while we were in bed. And Willie picked up the phone, and I pulled the covers over my head and went further into my sleep. And I didn't hear any of the conversation at all. And I thought, you know, didn't think no more of it. Anyway, we had the alarm got us up, and we were getting dressed, and he said, "Oh, that was Rod Stewart on the phone." I said, "Oh, right. Yeah," I said, "I'd never met Rod Stewart. I don't know Rod Stewart." So he said, "Yeah." He says, "We'll go and see him tonight." And I thought, is this because I'm the new boy? But I'm not the new boy to Willie. Is he winding me up here or what? Anyway, I didn't carry on with the conversation too much. I thought I'll just leave it. Anyway, we played the game, played Millwall. We got back on the coach, and Willie was at me again in my ear, and he says, the chauffeur's going to pick us up at the hotel, Jim. I says, "Willie, will you give up?" So do you remember this, Willie?
I do, yeah, I do.
Right. So we went back to the hotel, and we were all in the hotel. We were only in there. I think we'd just ordered a drink. We'd only been in there 10 minutes. And this guy come in and says, "Willie Morgan." And then Willie looked at me and says, "Come on, Jim, let's go." And I looked at Willie. I says, "What?" He says, "That's Rod Stewart's chauffeur." And I thought, it must be true. This must be real. Anyway, we got in the car from the Russell Hotel, Russell Square in London. We went to this house, and a lovely lady met us at the door and welcomed us in. And I recall John Peel was there, the DJ, and there was quite a few other people there. So there was maybe about 5 or 6 people. And then me and Willie, and we were all kind of just introducing ourselves. We were saying hello type of thing, and then this door opened and Rod Stewart walked through, and he come over to us and started to talk, and Willie introduced me, and I was very happy because I was a big fan of Rod Stewart's because he just had that big hit, Maggie May. So it was great. It was great to meet him. But the next thing he's there, Rod, and he says, "Right," he says, "You two," he says, I want to take you in here." He says, "I want to show you something." And we thought, oh, okay. So we excused ourselves from the company, and we went in the door that Rod come out. And we went in there, and there was the makings of a swimming pool. But there was no water in it, so he was obviously having a swimming pool built in his house. And as we walked in, he said, "What are you having to drink?" And we said, "Well, doesn't matter, anything." And there was one of them big American fridges, which were not everybody had them then. And he went in this big American fridge, and he pulled out 3 bottles of Dom Perignon. And he brought them over to us, and we sat on the makings of a swimming pool, and we were dangling our legs there, and he gave us a bottle of champagne each, me and Willie, and we just popped the corks, and we were just sat there drinking champagne, and it was a really good night. But I thought Willie was really trying to wind me up, first of all. But it was a lovely experience. We met Rod. We went back the next morning, and we were just in time for breakfast because we slept at Rod's that night. We got back in time for breakfast. And little Lou, who's always curious, little Lou McCarry, Lou said, "Oh, where have you two been? Where you two been?" And we just looked at him, didn't say anything. I thought, I'm not saying a bloody word. I've just arrived at the club. I'm not going to tell him I've been out drinking champagne with Rod Stewart. They'll think I'm a right big-headed swine. So that was that tale.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story that is. And I think that's the perfect way to wrap up. Willie, it's been a joy having Jim with us tonight.
It's lovely. Absolutely lovely, I love him,
It's just been fabulous.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Just nice, him and Debbie, and hopefully when all this is over, we'll all be getting together again. And maybe you would join us, Callum. You never know.
It would be an absolute pleasure.
Take care, both of you, and
And you.
all the best for Christmas, and stay safe, and bye, Kay.
Hit the ball straight.